I know. I sound like a fucking like piece of shit, and I should like burn in like some sort of large fire of some sort. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Ryan here. The next Let's Play, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. So we did the Twitter poll. It was very close. Infamous 2 was like really coming up on it, but we did Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 won. And I'm totally okay with that because the last time we did an Uncharted game, which we've only Let's Played Uncharted 1 out of the whole franchise, we did that in 2015, so I'm totally okay with going to Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2, for a lot of people, is their favorite entry in the franchise. So this will be really good. This will be really good. You know, this is a hearty, meaty game too. I mean, we're gonna be doing this for probably quite a while, I would have to imagine. But hopefully, I can. You know, I've gone through this game so many times now that I would have to imagine I can get through it pretty easily. I use that term loosely. If you you know, have been watching for a while, you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna go with the difficulty of easy though. Explorer is a little too ridiculous. We gotta have some deaths in there. We gotta have me fuck up somehow. Otherwise, how am I gonna have a 15-second intro where I do something really stupid? Ridiculous kind of sets the mood for what kind of Let's Play you're gonna get into. You can see I already have a bunch of save files because I've destroyed this game on PlayStation 3 and again on PS4 with the remaster. And cutscenes, I will stay quiet because it's a very story-driven game. So. Although I will say that the intro to Uncharted 2 is, for the most part, quiet, I guess. Because, well, this is what happens.
What's going on? That's my blood. That's my blood. It's a lot of my blood.
Uncharted 2. God, I love the intro. You know what? The thing is, this is my favorite part of Uncharted 2, admittedly, is just the beginning. Damn, I'm going the wrong way. Yep, I already fucked it up. Uncharted 2, the beginning is perhaps my most favorite part of the entire game. I think it just, you know what it is? It sets it so well for like what you're kind of going to be getting yourself into. And the musical score in particular for the very first chapter is fantastic. It's the chapter's called A Rock in a Hard Place, and the specific song for this is also called Rock in a Hard Place. I actually bought it on my phone because I love listening to it. It's just so overly dramatic, and when I get over this cliff, you'll see just how beat up Drake is and like how, you know, well, I mean, you'd have to imagine it doesn't feel very good. And more in particular, some of the nuances. I mean, when you play this game for the first time, and you have to consider this is back when I played it in 2009. If you were there in 2009 and you had previously played Uncharted Drake's Fortune in 2007, when you started playing this game, it's Chapter 1 set such a different mood because right away you knew Naughty Dog kicked it into like 10th fucking gear. Just based off of this one chapter alone. And it's always the small nuanced details which Naughty Dog is very well known for at this point, going further with Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us, for example, has some very particular fine details in the mechanics and the gameplay. And Uncharted 1 Uncharted 2 really started to, I think, highlight some of that nuanced detail that Naughty Dog really started to like get into. Once Drake gets over this cliff, just kind of the way he walks, and you can even look at some of the fine texture detail in the snow. It just looks fucking awesome. And I'm the kind of person that I always kind of like really dislike games that are heavily based in like the winter and snow. Because mostly I find it to be a pretty boring environment because everything's white and I just don't like it, you know. I think it makes for a very boring environment aesthetically. But here they make it look great and they make it, you know, feel like they convey the hardships of it quite well, I think, which is a miracle in itself because it's a fucking video game. How can you make me feel cold and hurt? And they kind of like pulled it off here. Go for the dramatic jump. Boom. Just barely somehow pulls himself on this ledge. Who knows how he does that? He's got unbelievable upper body strength. And it kind of gives me goosebumps because I hate being cold. You all know this. I hate being cold. I know people probably want subtitles.
Buy me a drink, sailor.
Harry Flynn? Hey! What the hell are you doing here?
I'm looking for you, mate.
Uh-oh. Should I be flattered or worried?
Maybe a bit of both. Come here. I've got a job for us.
Really?
The client is willing to part with a huge sum of cash if we acquire a certain object for him.
All right, I'm listening.
Now, you're not gonna like this.
Oh, no. No, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, you just hear me out for a second.
Flynn, we both know 2 people who were killed trying to lift something out of this place.
And one who made it out.
Yeah, barely.
I can't do this without you, Drake. You're the only one who's cracked it, and you know better than anyone it's a 2-person job.
No. 3, actually.
Right. And speak of the devil, here she comes now.
What?
Chloe Fraser.
Nate. Drake. Nathan. Drake.
Hello, Harry.
Chloe here's one of the best drivers in the business. She'll take good care of us.
I bet.
Right, look. I've got it all figured out. We go in through the sewer.
Loving it so far.
That puts us in the courtyard. From there, we scale up the wall, run across the rooftops, and just drop down into the exhibit hall. Bob's your uncle. And what is worth all this trouble, I hear you ask?
I didn't, but go ahead. But that's it. An oil lamp.
Yeah.
It's worthless. I don't get it.
Neither do we. That's why we tracked you down.
Well, it sounds like you're working for a nutcase. Some collector who's got too much time and money on his hands. And by the way, this is not worth any of it.
But there's more. How's your 13th century Latin, mate?
Where'd you get this?
Borrowed it from the files of the nutcase.
In Trebizond, we were set upon by thieves. Father, Maffeo, and I were robbed of our greatest treasures. This was written by Marco Polo.
Yes, that much we were able to work out.
Unfortunately, the rest of it's nonsense.
Hey, hold on. So that it should not fall into the wrong hands, I concealed my great sorrow in the unlikeliest place. The light of the great Khan shelters the fate of the 13.
See what I mean? It's just gibberish.
He's talking about the lost fleet.
Yeah.
I know, someone want to fill me in?
Marco Polo leaves China with 600 passengers and 14 ships, loaded down with treasure from Kublai Khan. And he lands in Persia a year and a half later, with only 1 ship left and only 18 passengers. Now, he recorded every detail of his journey, but he never told what happened to all those ships and the passengers.
So somewhere out there are 13 ships loaded with the Emperor's treasure waiting to be found.
Yeah, and that is what your client is after. Hey, look at this lamp. It's covered in Mongolian script. It must have been a gift from Kublai Khan.
The light of the great Khan shelters the fate of the 13.
Marco Polo hid something inside this lamp. Something that pinpoints the site of the lost fleet.
So, we're dicking this guy over, right?
Damn straight.
Absolutely. You in then?
What the hell? I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
You know, for some reason, every time I see that specific scene where they're at the beach, it reminds me of 40 Days and 40 Nights, the movie. Don't know why. The only fucking relation there is that they're actually on a beach. Other than that, there's no similarity whatsoever, but for some reason it gives me sort of the same vibe. So see right here, like some of the snowbanks, and right when the score starts to like go up and down, if you can kind of hear it. I just love this whole one little part right here. Once he gets over the ledge, here's a treasure. We're not going to find a ton of them because I'm not going to be looking for them. But if I see one, I'll go grab it. I just like the fine detail. If you really sit there and get really close to the snowbank and look at how he's like walking through it, and obviously he looks disheveled and he's like pain. You know, he's doesn't feel very good. Just love it. Chapter 1's my favorite. I don't know. Well, I do know why. I just explained all of it to you, so I guess I'm just lying to you at this point. But, yeah, so we're back in another Let's Play. As usual, we'll do it just like sort of Uncharted 1. Sometimes we sort of have to explain where I'm going to be talking and where I'm going to stay quiet, because that's always a little bit important. I try to stay... I always think of it from how, if I were watching a Let's Play, how would I prefer it, you know? And sometimes I'll be clicking onto videos on YouTube, and I'll get really fucking annoyed because the guy will maybe talk during the whole fucking thing. And I always find that, I don't know about you guys, I find that very off-putting, especially if it's a story game. To talk during everything is just, you know, like, shut your fucking mouth so at least something can be conveyed. That's just how I see it. It goes without saying that on this channel I do a lot of talking on my Let's Plays, and it's mostly about just the shit I have to say. But if it's a, you know, full-on cutscene, I'll stay quiet. If it's, you know, in-game dialogue, for the most part, I'll probably talk over that. And that it works quite well for Uncharted, because Uncharted's very much in that linear sense of gameplay, cutscene, straight up cutscene, then gameplay. Sure, there's definitely some dialogue and whatnot, but it kind of has a good flow for it, you know what I mean? And you can kind of get away with, you know, not really completely paying attention if it's just gameplay. Like, in terms of, like, listening to what everyone has to say and stuff. God, good God, this game still looks... The remaster looks great. Yeah, we're playing on PlayStation 4. This is the Uncharted Collection Remaster. 60 frames per second, 1080p. What's funny is... so here's a weird little explanation. Obviously, I'm rocking the 4K television now, a PlayStation 4 Pro, and PlayStation VR. This television, though, is a 4K HDR-enabled display. HDR, High Dynamic Range Picture. You can do 4K without HDR. You can buy a 4K television without HDR. That's something pretty specific that I always kind of have to... And some consumers need to realize that there is sort of a, you know, a difference in contingency there. You can buy a 4K TV without HDR. HDR is a very premium thing still. Anyway, you need a... I think it's going to go to a cutscene. We're still going to have plenty of moments where I'm not going to remember what happens.
Hello. Well, so much for foreplay.
You mind telling me what the hell is going on?
You mean with Flynn?
Yeah, you might have warned me.
And missed the look on your face? Anyway, you haven't exactly made yourself easy to find.
Talk about making yourself easy.
Oh, you're not jealous. Let's not forget who walked out on whom. After all, you don't get to be jealous.
Wait a minute, Chloe.
If it makes you feel any better, my relationship with Flynn is strictly professional.
Really?
Mostly professional.
Oh.
When I figured out he was actually on to something, I thought you'd want to be in on the action.
So what's the plan?
Just like we said. We pull the heist, we find the ships, and we make off with the treasure.
With Flynn?
Mm-hmm.
And then?
And then we split the take 3 ways, and you and I just disappear. Together, this time.
I see.
Until then, he can't know about us.
He's gonna be pissed.
He's gonna be fine. Trust me.
Alright, so I know I was in the middle of saying a whole thing, but quick little caveat. I always see this scene, and now I also think of nice little Naughty Dog fact. The actress for Chloe, and her name is escaping me right now, but basically when they were capturing that scene, she improv'd the little finger, like, tickle up on his chest, and Naughty Dog kind of pulled her aside and said, no, that's great, we love that, but we need to, we can't, track that, so we need to put, the little tracking bubbles on your fingers so we can get that into the game. Like I said, it's that transition. This is like when Naughty Dog really started to, like, just go all out with every little minute detail that they could to just... It's things that you don't even really notice, or maybe you won't even appreciate it, but for a lot of people, sometimes that small little thing that you don't realize or look at subconsciously, it goes a long way. Anyway, back to what I was saying. There's a treasure back here. Some I remember. Not all of them. There's 101 of them, so... That's my setup. The 4K with HDR. If you've got PlayStation VR, you can't have... If you've got PlayStation VR and you like to have it set up 100% of the time to your PlayStation 4, then you cannot do HDR. HDR needs a direct HDMI to TV connection, whereas PlayStation VR is, HDMI to this and this and that. I'm not even going to explain it because it's so ridiculous. Another cutscene. I'm not gonna be able to finish this story.
Sure you're up for this?
Feel a lot better if I had a gun. We won't need them. A little insurance, that's all.
Flynn, they're just museum guards. And we have their patrols all mapped out. Relax.
Relax. Relax. Have you ever been in a Turkish prison, mate? If we get caught, they will lock us up and throw away the sodding key. You do realize that, don't you?
Better than you do.
Well, you may fancy that kind of thing, but I don't. Can't afford to make any mistakes.
Yeah, and we won't.
We're here.
This way. So what do we do if they switch the patrols?
Figure it out as we go.
We cannot fumble our way through this.
I don't fumble, I improvise.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Yeah, I'm, adaptable.
Adaptable?
You cocky bastard. There. What did I tell you? That passage there is going to take us right under the museum.
You called it all right.
You need to have a little more faith in me, chum.
Okay, this one here is me.
All right, remember, that tower is our only way into the exhibit. But we can't even get close with those floodlights on.
We've gone over this.
Just make sure you cut the power by the time we reach the second courtyard.
The lights will be out. I'll have the van waiting at the rendezvous point. Just make sure you get your asses out of there in time.
Fair enough.
All right, enough chat. Let's do this.
Chloe. I'll see you on the other side.
Looking forward to it.
You sure you know where you're going? Don't I always?
I definitely gotta turn this down so I can't hear it and have the dialogue throw me off. Anyway, if you want HDR, it's gotta be direct connection. I'm not playing my PlayStation VR every single day, so I actually keep a direct HDMI connection so I can enjoy HDR, the high dynamic range. And it's been, I'm not gonna lie, it's been maybe about 2 weeks since I've used my PlayStation VR like extensively. I'll only use it sparingly, and once I'm done with it, I'll swap right back to get my HDR back. And I've gotten to the point now where when I do a PlayStation VR connection and I lose that HDR, I can tell the difference. And no bullshit, I can tell the difference now between 1080p and 4K on like the main dynamic menu. Come on, I'll give you a boost, buddy.
Yeah, in like Flynn, right? What?
Come on, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the button prompt.
Just give me a boost.
Or he gives me a boost. So no bullshit. I have actually gotten spoiled to that point, and I hate to even admit that, but I'm not fucking with you. When you've got it in your house, right, and you're using it all the time, it becomes a very real thing. You adapt to it, you know, like you just get used to it, and so this is where you're gonna think I sound nuts. 1080p looks blurry now. I know. I sound like a fucking like piece of shit, and I should like burn in like some sort of large fire of some sort. But I'm not even fucking with you. Like in my living room it's a basically a 55-inch 1080p TV, and the TV's even bigger than this TV. So a 1080p image, even more blown up, it's gonna look even more blurry, like more so. But it's true now. If I go out there, I got my PS4 Slim out there. I just use that for Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. When I turn that on, I can see on the regular PS4 dynamic menu, I can see just the fine images around the boxes and the text and stuff. It looks blurry. I've gotten used to fucking 4K imagery. It's nuts. And it's the same thing with HDR. I can tell night and day now. HDR looks visibly better. Just the picture is outstanding. Why am I still over here? Can I not get up here on my own? Finally. I'm thinking he has to kick something down for me. If HDR is off, the picture looks darker, like a lot darker, like a washed out sort of darkness to the whole picture. And so the reason why I'm even mentioning this whole story is because, well, I can't capture HDR or 4K. I don't have that kind of, I don't even think they make capture software. I think the last time I checked, Elgato was still like announcing that they were making the capture hardware for it, or maybe they already released it. I don't know. I'm not keeping up with it, but I obviously don't have it, so I had to connect, my capture and everything. I had to turn off my HDR. I had to manually set the image back to 1080p, and it's just like, I was like, oh, all right, this is actually taking me back. It's looking bad, man, looking bad.
That's our access.
Excuse me.
Stick to the plan. You got me? Tell me you didn't.
However, I will say this game still looks, the PS4 remaster looks fucking awesome. Hey, look at that. That's an alarm or something.
Good job I came prepared.
And it's like behind us or whatever.
Wait. There's an alarm.
Yeah, look at that, an alarm. I think what really does it though is the 60 frames. 60 frames takes it to a whole nother level. And I'm always the guy that's like, I don't really give a shit. Like, if the game was 30 frames, it was on PS3, and it was still a fucking great game. But when it is 60, it's like, it's just, of course it's more enjoyable. I mean, that, and it's just, a higher resolution, too, so that also helps. Looks good. This is before firmware 4.5. Can't use any boost mode. Wouldn't necessarily need boost mode, though. As far as I know, I think this game holds its frame rate pretty well. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Got him. Now, as far as I know... Am I thinking of Uncharted 4? I think Uncharted 4 had a pretty annoying stealth section too that was kind of aggravating me. And I remember a long time ago when this game was initially getting reviewed, a lot of people were complaining about the second chapter and the stealth mechanics, just saying that it was like really sort of annoying. And it kept bothering people. There we go, we got him out. I just kind of want to go through this nice and thoroughly, so it's just kind of done and out of the way, and we can go back to normal, get to some normal shooting. Jesus. Some shooting sections and whatnot, and it'd be a little bit more free-flowing. That I can get to telling you guys some stories. 'Cause it's been a while. It's been a while since I've talked to you all. You know, the Spyro the Dragon Let's Play. It was a great Let's Play. I'm really happy we did that. And I'm actually genuinely excited for whenever we decide to do Spyro 2. But we did just do Spyro. And Spyro Year of the Dragon was even longer before that. So we'll do Spyro 3 when we're, you know, when we're ready. We're taking a pretty heavy break, so. Oh, I'm going left, alright. Got a lot of guards here. Total enemies defeat. Oh yeah, I forgot that the PS4 version did that. It had like all this front integration with like total, like just giving totals of everything and whatnot. Gotta get rid of all the dudes here. This seems familiar. Maybe this was the thing that was really pissing me off. Ooh, treasure. See, I wouldn't have remembered that was there. Crouch, dude. Oh, I can't get him. I'm thinking he can stay crouched forever. That's not a thing. Or is it? We're almost done anyway. A lot of part 1 is obviously going to be just cutscenes and whatnot. Well, I mean, Uncharted 2 also took it to a much more involved level for storytelling and dialogue. I guess that's another thing. I mean, it was an evolution on all sorts of fronts. I'm right here. How do I do it now? You want me to go to this one first? There. Oh yeah, I'm after the box.
Okay, it's off.
Do. I think The Last of Us also kind of did it better with those sort of transitions. When you have a button prompt to do some sort of action, like that right there wasn't fluid. I was clearly still hanging on the cage, and I pressed triangle, and it just jumps right to a scene. It's like there was still some infancy there, but this was kind of the start of them really like coming into their own with how they wanted to approach their games. Oh boy, look at all these people. What a great time for us to end part 1 of... Wow, I almost wanted to say Spyro, but I didn't. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. I'm not, you know what, and I wanted to say Uncharted Drake's Fortune. It's going to be a big learning curve. I can see a treasure already in that fountain. Thank you all for watching part 1, and I'll see you all in part 2.